Good morning. It's Thursday. And we're off. Off to see the wizard. The wonderful wizard of Oz. We're off. It says the parking brake's on. It was a little bit. Okay, I've done it now. Jesus. As I came out of the house, I got this, I don't know if it's I think it's a nice smell. A little smell there of grass. The scent of cut grass. I think it's meant to be nice, isn't it? I think it's relatively nice. But, yeah. Yeah, the kind of grass at the back of the house. They have one of these tractor things. It's the council. They cut it quite a lot during the summer, actually. I suppose it grows a lot, though, doesn't it? And it's nice to see. I'm quite happy to have a nice field out the back. Though I certainly won't be utilising it for anything. And just when I get out onto the main road, I was taking my time today doing the sandwiches. I was just like, I didn't feel like rushing. And yeah, well, it's a little bit later, 10 to 9, and I was sort of slowing down a bit because I was thinking yesterday the traffic was a bit better later on. Certainly it was accurate at Google Maps as opposed to being completely wrong. So I think that was part of it. It's telling me now, I don't know what it said, I did do an Alexa recording just before this, so I'll probably tag that onto here. But I think it's about 31 minutes. It probably doesn't really make much of a difference. It is what it is, isn't it? It's another commute. And weather's not bad. I'd like to say it was clear skies. It's not. There's a few clouds, and they're quite high level actually. So you can see the sun behind them there. So they're not too heavy rain clouds or anything like that. I suppose the sun's still in its ascent. It's still rising. It's dry. That's always a bonus on Ireland, isn't it? Oh, it's okay. So I'm just going over some speed bumps. Well, they're gradual ones, so they're not too painful. And there was a lot of traffic around. I think it was busier yesterday. I don't like it on Google Maps. There's a set of routes, not normal, different routes, much heavier than usual. I don't know what that means really. What is usual, eh? There seems to be a bit of a variance anyway in times. So yeah, so I'm going to go straight across the roundabout over the M50. Not going on the M50. The M50 moves pretty well actually at this time, I think, normally. But that's not the problem. It's between the M50 and the office that's the problem, and it's a big problem. Lots of traffic lights, lots of hold-ups. Yeah, the M50 is really free-flowing. I'm just looking down at the north part of it, heading south there. Heavy but free-flowing. I'm not going that way though today. I should really, because this is all now, couldn't I? But it'd be an hour. It'd be an hour of a commute. And that brings me up to nearly 10 o'clock. And yeah, nobody wants to get into work at 10, do they? So, here we go. The Kenobi show. So it's got me going straight on through Templeogue. They have a tennis club there. Yeah, they've got a pub, the Morgue. You know, I don't know, but I was in there last, probably 25 years ago. It's a long time ago. But I don't really go to pubs. I'm not a big socialiser. Don't have any friends. Well, yeah. Might have the odd one, you know. But, I'm not a big socialiser. Yeah. Just coming up to the roundabout here now. Is it gonna bong? Am I gonna have to stop? Let's have a look. I'm gonna have to stop, yeah. I don't like stopping because when I set off it bongs. Wondered why a guy was stopping. He didn't want to enter the box, the diamond box. Letting me out. Yay! Cyclists have their own little cycle lane, which is nice. They're not going to get in my way, which is good. And I'm moving, which, you know, is brilliant, I suppose. And it's Thursday. Coffee, yeah. Made sure I had the old travel mug. I had a cup of coffee in my hand, and I made a travel mug. And I tasted, I don't know why, I tasted the travel mug, and I tasted the cup of coffee in my hand. Now, it's made from the same coffee, just having a drink. But it tasted different. It tasted different. Maybe it's because I put 2 spoons of coffee in the travel mug. It's a little bit stronger. But it is also twice the size. Yeah. So I was thinking of the dilution of the coffee, the freeze-dried coffee. So even though the cup is twice the size of the container, I don't think I need 2 spoons of coffee. It's quite harsh with 2. But hey, I'm probably used to it now, aren't I? It's keeping me awake, running on coffee. I had a pretty good sleep, actually. I was absolutely worn out going to bed. And I don't remember going to sleep. But I remember waking up and I was next to me laptop. Yeah, that's how I roll. Okay, so where are we now? We're in traffic lights again. See, the thing is, I've been moving fairly freely, so these traffic lights are always going to be like this, aren't they? I've not got a big queue in front of me at the traffic lights. It's not too bad, actually. This might be the time I go to work every day. Maybe that's the idea. I am really tired. More coffee. Oh man. So what am I going to talk about today? Well, I've lots to talk about. That's not going to be a problem, is it? Yeah, I used to work in mostly chicken factories. The odd, I don't know what you call them, beef factory, and the odd fish factory, but mostly I worked in chicken factories, poultry, for poultry wage. I've been very young and not been to university. I didn't really have a proper sort of vocation. I wasn't going to be like, oh well, he's going to be a whatever. I hadn't done any apprenticeship or anything. I'd literally done a couple of years of college, A levels, and flunked them, and was looking for work. And I think the first job I got, it was in the job centre. So basically, when you are out of work, you go to, and there's different names for it now, but essentially it's a centre where they advertise really shit jobs with really crap money, but they know you're desperate, So, and I'd just come out of college. I lived with my dad and brother. They were both working at that stage. What year would this be? 1990, I think it was. Yeah, 1990. And they were both working, I think. So, the pressure wasn't. Well, there's always pressure, isn't there? We never had any money. They always just paid crap wages. Oh well, we flitted it away on rubbish. I can't remember now. But anyway, I think there was some pressure to get working money-wise. So I did, and it was in the job centre in Huddersfield. It was advertised, this job. I think we kind of said the name of the company, I wonder. They're out of business 20 years. Yeah, they've gone out of business over 20 years ago. But they were air conditioning distributors, so selling air conditioning to mostly businesses and factories and that sort of stuff. But the middleman, really, we did keep a little warehouse with smaller air conditioners. But, generally speaking, it was, we're just like, well, as it turned out, salesmen, really, which was sort of sad, really, because I'm not a salesman. I think I've said that quite a few times. So there was only me and an area manager in the office, and I wouldn't say I was terrible at it, but it wasn't for me. I mean, I did find I had a voice and I could talk to people on the phone. First I was very timid for all sorts of reasons, and then I got very talkative on the old phone now. So that was me for 2.5 years. And then to get work again, I don't know, I can't remember. I'm trying to think now how I saw this job, where it was advertised. You see, this is before the internet, and that makes me feel so old. I'm trying to remember where it was advertised, and I didn't really know what he did, I'm trying to remember at that stage if I think my dad and brother were they out of work at that stage. I think they were out of work. I was a bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was their only hope. I'm trying to remember, but I think it was around that time they wasn't working anyway. And yeah, so there was a bit of pressure, you know. So anyway, that company's out of business now as well, interestingly. Well, that company as it was, it's in a different form now. I think it's software only now. But so basically the company was formed, I don't remember how I saw the adverts. In those days it was probably the newspaper or the job centre, you know. And I think it could have been the job centre again, where I saw the job. It was on a card. You walk around, it's basically they display all these cards on these stands in this place, and you walk around and have a look. You'd see one you liked. Now you was meant to write the details down, but the more competitive people would take the card down and walk up to the so there was a reference, and then I'll give you the details, whatever. If you were suitable, they'd vet you a little bit. There was a sort of a screen in a job centre to make sure you wasn't just some nutter picking something at random. But I can't remember now if that's how I got that job, or I found out about that job vacancy. It could have been in the paper. I know it sounds so archaic now, doesn't it? I know I didn't have a telephone in the house at the time, and we had years earlier, but not at that time. We didn't have a telephone. So I applied anyway, which would have been a letter, sort of coming back to me now. What's no email? Well, definitely wasn't by phone anyway. So I would have wrote a letter and enclosed my CV, cover letter. Probably handwritten. I think it was probably handwritten. Cover letter and the CV. I don't remember having any means to print anything out. I didn't have access to a computer to print stuff out. That sounds crazy now, doesn't it? So so a handwritten cover letter, handwritten CV. I mean, handwriting was never great, but that wasn't one of the qualifications required for the job. It was good handwriting, so I would have applied. I'm fairly certain by post. I don't think I would have faxed it because I had no access to a fax machine. And in those days, if you didn't have access to those things and you wanted, you could go to, I think, the library maybe. And if you wanted to send a fax, you could go to the library, or you could go. They had these shops where you did print stuff for you and all the rest of it. I might have done that. I can't remember. I think it would have been handwritten. I don't believe I was typing anything up at that time. So I got a response back. I got a what happened now? I got a letter. I'm trying to remember now. I got a letter for an interview, and I think he hand delivered it to the house and said, you know, phone number for me to ring you, Yeah, it was probably even strange in those days. I didn't have a phone, but so he gave me the letter and said, I want you to come in for an interview. And I know the first interview was your typical. I actually bought a suit. I got it from a catalogue on payment terms. If memory serves, it was £150 the suit. This was in the UK, of course. It's £150 and paid back over 6 months. Sounds a little crazy now, but I got the suit and went for the interview. I remember it was in the house. It was a country house. It was like a mansion with a long drive and a nice little location. I went for the interview and it was. I remember seeing the receptionist was like in the reception area of the house, and I don't know if I went upstairs I didn't go upstairs for the interview, but I went to one of the rooms there with the guy who'd become my manager for a while, and he interviewed me. It's always hard to know how these things go. People don't normally give stuff away, but you know what? He's interviewing someone fresh out of college, really. I mean, I had a couple of years messing around, selling air conditioning, which is always good. I mean, I had another 2 years just sitting around. I'd actually been doing something, but so he must have liked me anyway. The one comment I remember was he liked the fact I was wearing a suit, and it's one thing I don't do now. I don't wear a suit because I think that could be a load of shit. Be smart, of course, smart casual. And there are instances where you should wear a suit, of course. But anyway, I'd wore a suit that I got from the catalogue for £150 over 6 months. It was a grey suit, quite a traditional style to it, and yeah, it was cheap. So he said, so I got another letter saying they wanted me to go for another interview. It was a day of practical challenges to see what I was like, and me and another guy did the challenges. And in the end, they employed us both, which was nice. I was a lot better than he was, looking back. But he was a nice guy, I got on with him. He was young and a bit naive like myself, and everything else, but I liked him, and we got on very well, actually. We worked very closely for the first year or two, but as is the case when you're brilliant like me, you sort of get noticed. And my rise, the ascendancy began probably less than a year after I'd been there. I was asked if I could go into the software department. I was so naive and young at the time. I thought he only asked me because I just turned out I was the one on my own on Friday afternoon. Everybody else was either off or whatever, and I was waiting for 5 o'clock, me, to be honest. And I was the only one in the room there, and I thought maybe that's why they picked me for the software. It wasn't that at all, of course, but that's what I thought at the time. And I wrote software, and the software that I wrote revolved around basically tracking boxes, in a factory, and then being dispatched and printing out dispatch notes. It's box end labelling, so weighing boxes, putting a label on it with a barcode. Lots of barcodes involved, and scanners and stuff and all that. So I wrote quite a bit of the software, and the thing about what was nice about it, this software had a real world application, and it was real time, and with all the challenges that has. So it was a great experience, and once I'd done it for about, I don't know, even just 6 months, obviously I was very, very good at it. And I'd never seen the software before. It was called Sculptor. It was a 4GL, a very basic database type programming language. It was actually, looking back now, very fast. I think on today's hardware it would be lightning. Because the software I wrote, was used in the factories, well, it happened, didn't it? We want you to go on site with one of these engineers and install the software for this equipment and test it and train people and all this, And the best will in the world, the engineers they had at the time, the service engineers, were essentially electricians. They were, I don't want to say they were simple guys, but because they weren't simple in any manner, but they were like electricians. They cabled stuff up as per a diagram. They wasn't computer guys, they wasn't programmers, the best will in the world, So yeah, go on site with the engineers, and that's sort of how the connection with being a service engineer came about. They were so highly regarded, these guys, because they would travel the world. The box end labelling and the software was really just the UK and Ireland. There was a little system, I think, in Germany, if I remember rightly, but it was mostly fairly local. And the equipment that they would travel the world installing was mainly hardware around weighing chickens on a production line. And it was very physical. I used to call it spanner work. Lots of spanner work, lots of heavy cabling, the sort of thing an electrician could do probably fairly easily. So, and that's what would get you around the world. So, being young, I was early 20s, a job came up for a service engineer, and they decided to look towards the production department and me and the software, and could this guy do it? And the interview did interview. There was none of this giving him a job or anything. And he interviewed me and the other guy who'd started for the role. And the big thing they would push was it was very antisocial hours, lots of evenings and weekends, lots of long hours. Now they said the salary, was 25% higher than an equivalent, engineer. Because of that, and that you would just, accept that you could be called at any time. There was no structured on-call or anything, but essentially you was on-call all the time. And you'd get a phone call, which I did on many occasions, and get sent to site. So I got the service engineer's job, and I knew about the other side of the business, the global one, where it was spanner work. I never really liked it, to be honest. but they said, listen, Jason, you got to do both. You can't just do your, your software-y box end labeling type stuff. So I said, yeah, let's go for this. I got a company car and a mobile phone. This, for a young fella, it was pretty good. And within a few years, I was on up to the proper salary for the engineers. And I was the best engineer they ever had. Obviously, doing both sides of the house put me in good stead. I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't married. And I was pretty responsive. If they asked me to go somewhere, I'd go, so maybe more so than I should, but you know what, hey, it was a really good experience. I found out a lot about myself. I found out what my limits were in terms of tiredness and everything else, and I found out a lot about other people as well. I found out a lot about managers, how they work. So I'd be sent to a site, and it could be anywhere in the world, it could be somewhere in the UK or Ireland, and I'd be on my own. Very rarely be more engineers. So you had to do it all. You had to be an engineer, you had to be a project manager. I mean, a trainer, you had to be a coder. I had to do everything, And there was antisocial hours. It could be very early in the morning, early starts. It could be working over the weekend whilst the factories were empty. So yeah, I mean, and I did it, and I worked very hard. And I spent a lot of time in Ireland. They had a few factories in Ireland that I basically set up from scratch. Yeah, so that's how I became an engineer, travelling around the world. The travelling, that was good. I mean, I saw a lot of places. It wasn't as glamorous as one would have liked, but I think that's the biggest thing I got from that job. And the expectations companies have of people, yeah, that's quite interesting, yeah. And I did it for 7 years, I think it was. A succession of company cars. I used to do a lot of mileage, and entering the computer age, I got my first PC in 1995. I ordered that from a catalogue. It was over £1,000, payable over, I don't know, 6 months or a year. And I remember when it arrived, I was actually not in England anyway. I think as an engineer, one of the biggest or the first jobs I did were in Northern Ireland and Ireland. I was there for about 6 weeks in total, 5 to 6 weeks I think it was. And I've been there a few weeks, not come home at all, of course. I've been there the weekends working, and I'd ordered this computer, and in those days it could take quite a while to arrive, this PC, and it arrived whilst I was away. I'm trying to remember where I was. I was between Monaghan Poultry in the Republic and Farmford Chickens in Coleraine. I'd be near one of those anyway, and I was given the option of, this weekend there was no work on for me. I could fly back home for the weekend, or I could stay in a hotel and pay for a hotel. It was the same price to the company. So they flew me home. That was the first time I ever flew. Yeah, 1994. British Airways ATP from Belfast Aldergrove to Manchester. About 45 minutes you fly over the Isle of Man. And I flew home, and I sort of wanted to get home because the computer. My computer was there. And there it was. Yeah. It was pretty crap, looking back, spec, but it was a PC. I mean, PCs have been around a good while. I remember they were pretty expensive for anything reasonable. And I remember for years afterwards, the graphics on it wasn't good enough, didn't have enough memory, didn't have enough hard disk. So within a very short period of time, its spec was pretty rubbish. And also the upgrade opportunities weren't great for it, so... But part of the role I had, part of installing these systems were like glorified PCs in some of these factories. So, yeah. So that's that was the start of it all, really. But yeah, I still think back to that now. So yeah, before, no telephone, no internet. How do you get a job, Go to the job centre. Well, imagine what sort of jobs you're going to get there, And yeah, I did okay. And back to the commute, I suppose. I'm nearly there. It's actually been free flowing. It said 30 minutes. It's not far off. Got 3 minutes to go. I've been talking for 25 minutes. Oh, yeah. So coming to the housing estate that I normally go through. It's 9:15. I'm hopeful there's going to be a parking space. Maybe not. I don't mind. I'm not in a hurry now. Anyway, am I? You know, I'm not going to kill myself. Oh, speed bumps. Hey, I've got a sore neck. I always get a sore neck when I sleep and when I conk out. I think my body just goes and lies there for hours, you know, and yeah, and in the most probably ridiculous posture possible, and yeah. You know, when a housing estate's posh, there's a skip there outside our house. It's been there a few days and it hasn't been filled up with other people's crap. That's how posh they are around here. Excuse me, but yeah, so the skip's still half empty. I like that, you know. That's how you know an area's posh. People aren't, shall we say, point there, rubbish in the skip. Christmas trees and things like that. I suppose it's the wrong time of year for a Christmas tree, but you never know. But yeah, the skip's still half empty.